The greatest myth in the WNBA dump has officially been exposed. The myth of all myths, the deception of deception. For the better part of 2 years, maybe even 3 years, the mainstream media has been trying to convince us that Angel Reese is a huge star.
Angel Reese didn't just miss the All-Star game, she got left off the map entirely. After months of media buzz, bold interviews, and headline-grabbing moments, fans had the final word and they voted her out. Not top 5, not top 10, not even close. For someone who proudly declared herself the reason people watch women's basketball, the silence from the scoreboard was deafening. And when the results dropped, Reese wasn't celebrating. She was furious. But this isn't just about one player's disappointment. It's about a brutal reality check for the league, the media, and every fan paying attention. Here's what really happened.
Caitlin Clark has 3 times the amount of votes. 3 times the amount of votes as Angel Reese. So, there you go. I suspect Sophie Cunningham's numbers are going to grow. After what we've seen, somebody said, I saw some things online about they sold $1 million worth of Sophie Cunningham jerseys, and something in the neighborhood of 12,000 all went out one day.
Angel Reese didn't wait for the league to anoint her. She did it herself. From the moment she stepped into the WNBA spotlight, Reese declared she was the reason fans were tuning in, and the media ran with it. She became the centerpiece of commercials, the face of ad campaigns, and the guest on every sports podcast that needed a soundbite. Her confidence was undeniable, bold, and perfectly packaged for social media. With every viral quote and every sideline selfie, the narrative took shape. Angel Reese wasn't just a player, she was the future of the league. The WNBA leaned into the hype. League accounts plastered her highlights across platforms. Endorsements rolled in. Networks booked her appearances as if she were already an all-star. Forbes called her the engine of WNBA growth. Reporters labeled her the new face of women's basketball. Even before she had the numbers to back it up, the branding machine crowned her a superstar. And to be fair, Reese played her role well. She brought the energy, the attitude, and the visibility. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind or make a moment out of every camera shot in a league fighting for attention. That kind of presence felt like gold. But here's the thing about a crown: you have to earn it every night on the court. And as the season wore on, something didn't add up. The performance didn't match the promotion. Reese's stat line raised eyebrows, shooting under 31%, struggling to finish at the rim, barely making an impact outside the paint. The one area she dominated, rebounding, wasn't enough to carry the rest. Still, the marketing didn't slow down. Reese was everywhere, except on the leaderboard, and when All-Star voting opened, the people had a chance to weigh in. What they said wasn't subtle. It was a full rejection of the narrative, and Angel Reese wasn't ready for what came next. The moment the All-Star voting results were released, everything changed. Fans weren't just whispering doubts anymore, they were shouting them with their ballots. Caitlin Clark topped the list with a staggering 516,000 votes. A rookie, in her first season, dominating the charts like she'd been in the league for years. And Angel Reese, she wasn't second, she wasn't even 10th. She landed all the way down in 13th place, trailing behind players with half the press but double the production. For someone who'd been promoted as the face of the WNBA, it was a brutal fall. The media hype had told one story, but the fans told another, and their message was clear. Charisma alone isn't enough. Reese's reaction to the news only added fuel to the fire. In press interviews, she deflected. When asked about missing the All-Star cut, she brushed it off, even shutting down a question mid-sentence. On social media, her posts grew cryptic, vague comments about haters, about not needing validation, about knowing her worth. But the numbers didn't lie. This wasn't a close call or a controversial snub. It was a landslide. Fans didn't just vote for other players. They overwhelmingly rejected the narrative that had been built around Angel Reese. They saw the media storm, the non-stop interviews, the flashy slogans, and then they saw the missed shots, the awkward finishes at the rim. the inefficiency that even hustle couldn't hide. It wasn't personal, it was performance-based. In a league where every vote counts, Reese found herself on the outside looking in, and it hurt. Not just because of pride, but because it shattered the illusion that popularity alone could carry a player into the All-Star spotlight. But what shocked most people wasn't just where Reese landed, it was what it revealed about the growing disconnect between media narratives and what fans actually value. For over a year, Angel Reese's name echoed across sports media like a drumbeat. She wasn't just covered, she was celebrated, elevated, even deified. Outlets like Forbes called her the engine of WNBA growth. Talk shows labeled her the future of women's basketball. WNBA social accounts pushed her highlights on loop. Interviews, photo shoots, podcasts, Reese was everywhere. And the league embraced it, hoping her personality would bring in viewers, boost ticket sales, and revive fan interest. But while the media framed Reese as a generational talent, fans were watching something very different on the court. Reese's numbers painted a far less flattering picture. Her field goal percentage hovered just above 30%. She struggled to finish routine shots around the basket. She had only 2 blocks and very few assists. Outside of rebounding, her impact was limited. Fans noticed. While she was trending on Twitter for her latest quote or appearance, rookies like Kiki Erfin were quietly putting up double-doubles and climbing the fan vote ladder. The disconnect became undeniable. The media crowned a queen, but the fans weren't buying the coronation. And it wasn't because of hate. It was because they wanted more than a slogan. They wanted results. Caitlin Clark was getting less media love, but she was producing more highlights, breaking more records, and filling more arenas. Her game was doing the talking, no flashy branding needed. And when fans compared that to Reese's shaky performances, the choice became obvious. This wasn't just about stats. It was about trust. Fans felt they were being sold an image that didn't match reality. And when given the chance, they pushed back with their votes. But that pushback didn't just hit Reese, it hit the WNBA's strategy right where it hurt, and forced everyone to ask the same question. Are they building stars based on performance or packaging? The All-Star Game is supposed to be a celebration of the league's best, not the loudest, not the flashiest, the best. And for the first time in years, fans made it crystal clear that they're done being told who the stars are. They're going to decide for themselves. That's why Angel Reese's absence from the top 10 wasn't just surprising, it was a statement. 50% of the All-Star vote comes from fans. That's half the power resting in the hands of people watching the games, checking the stats, and showing up for the players they believe in. The other half is split between players and media, 2 groups that had already bought into the Reese hype. But the fans, they had their own metric: performance. That's why players like Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, and Nafisa Collier soared to the top. Not because of marketing, but because of results. These are athletes putting up consistent numbers, changing games, and leading their teams. They weren't demanding the spotlight, they were earning it. Meanwhile, Reese's stat line told a very different story. Yes, she rebounded, but her scoring efficiency was poor, her defense underwhelming, and her offensive contribution limited. That's not the kind of resume that screams all-star, no matter how many press tours or photo shoots are behind it. Fans are no longer dazzled by slogans. They want substance. They want players who deliver, not just talk. And when they looked at the All-Star ballot, they rewarded those who showed up every night and let their play do the talking. Reese's omission wasn't hate. It wasn't personal. It was accountability. In a league where every vote is a message, the fans delivered one loud and clear: performance over packaging, results over reputation. And while fans were sending that message, the league had to face a hard truth, because their promotional gamble on Reese had just backfired in front of the entire sports world. From the moment Angel Reese entered the WNBA, the league seemed Ellen on her. She had the swagger, the sound bites, the social media following. In a league desperately trying to grow its audience, she was a marketing dreambold, quotable, and unafraid to claim the spotlight. The WNBA pushed her hard, hoping her larger-than-life personality would translate into ticket sales and fan engagement. But there was a problem. They bet on image before results. While Reese was being promoted like a seasoned veteran, Caitlin Clark was quietly putting together one of the most efficient and impactful rookie campaigns in recent history. She was breaking attendance records, selling out arenas, and delivering highlight plays on a nightly basis. Yet, she received a fraction of the promotional attention that Reese did. The league chose to market a personality, and it backfired. That gamble became painfully obvious when the All-Star votes were revealed. The fans didn't just ignore the campaign, they rejected it. Reese, the so-called face of the league, didn't even break into the top 10. Meanwhile, Clark soared to the #1 spot with ease. It was a stunning reversal, and one the league couldn't spin. This miscalculation was costly. Every commercial slot, every headline, every post dedicated to Reese over Clark suddenly looked like a missed opportunity. The WNBA had chosen flash over fundamentals, buzz over basketball, and the fans called them out for it. Reese might still be a valuable asset, but the All-Star vote proved she isn't the cornerstone the league tried to sell. Not yet, anyway. The hype didn't align with the on-court production, and in sports, that's a fatal mismatch. And while the league tried to downplay the damage, Angel Reese wasn't hiding her feelings. Her response to the vote wasn't quiet-hand. It revealed even more about the widening gap between image and impact. When the All-Star votes went public and Angel Reese's name was buried deep in the rankings, the silence from her side didn't last long. She wasn't just disappointed, she was clearly furious. And while she didn't say the words directly, her reaction spoke volumes. After the vote totals dropped, she was visibly cold in interviews, brushing off questions and shutting down one reporter mid-sentence with a clipped next question. It wasn't just frustration, it was defiance. On social media, the subtweets started almost immediately. Cryptic posts hinted at betrayal, haters, and being unappreciated. She talked about knowing her worth and not needing outside validation. Some fans rallied behind her, but most saw it for what it was, a refusal to face the facts. Because while she played the role of the overlooked underdog, the numbers told a different story. She wasn't overlooked, she was outperformed. Instead of using the moment as motivation or owning up to her shortcomings, Reese doubled down. There was no mention of her subpar shooting percentage, no acknowledgement that other rookies were simply playing better basketball, no humility, just a stream of passive-aggressive responses and surface-level confidence. This kind of reaction doesn't sit well with fans. Sports fans respect accountability. They'll forgive a bad game, a tough stretch, even a down season if a player owns it. But what they won't support is a player who blames everyone but themselves. When things go wrong, what made matters worse was the contrast. While Reese posted vague messages and skipped questions, Caitlin Clark kept her head down, thanked fans, and stayed focused on her game. It was a clear split. One player embraced the pressure, the other tried to deflect it. Reese's reaction showed a growing tension not just between her and the fans, but between her self-image and the reality of her performance. It wasn't just that she missed the All-Star cut, it's that when faced with rejection, she couldn't admit she hadn't earned it. And that refusal to own the moment raises a bigger question. What does this mean for Angel Reese's future? In a league that's now watching every move, every game, and every stat with a sharper lens than ever before. Angel Reese's All-Star snub wasn't just about one player missing a game. It exposed something much deeper, a brewing identity crisis in the WNBA. For years, the league has been desperate to grow its audience, to attract new fans, and to build breakout stars who can carry the spotlight. So when Angel Reese came along, brash, midi-savvy, and already famous from college, the WNBA saw a shortcut. They poured in the marketing dollars, built storylines around her, and elevated her brand before her game had time to catch up. But now the fans have responded. Loudly, they didn't fall for the narrative. They looked at the product on the floor and made their own judgments. Reese's flashy persona, viral sound bites, and non-stop media exposure weren't enough to mask her inefficiencies. And when voters were asked to choose who represents the league at its most elite, they didn't choose the loudest voice, they chose the most complete players. The message is clear. The fans want substance. They're tired of being told who the face of the league is supposed to be. They want athletes who dominate the scoreboard, not just the screen. Players like Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson, and Nafisa Collier are being recognized not for how often they go viral, but for how often they show up and deliver. This moment is a test not just for Reese, but for the WNBA as a whole. Will the league continue betting on image-first marketing? Or will it adjust and let the talent rise naturally based on performance? Because fans are watching, and they've shown they're not interested in being sold a star. They'll find their own dot. As for Reese, the door isn't closed. Her potential is still real. She's a fierce competitor, a relentless rebounder, and undeniably marketable. But if she wants to reclaim the spotlight, she needs to expand her game, sharpen her focus, and learn to lead with performance, not personality. Because at the end of the day, the All-Star vote wasn't just about who's popular, it was about who's proven. And until Reese starts proving it on the court, the fans have already moved on. Angel Reese's All-Star snub wasn't just a personal blow-it, it was a league-wide wake-up call. The fans made their voices clear. They're done with hype, done with headlines, and ready to reward real performance. Reese may still have the spotlight in commercials, but when it came time to vote, her numbers couldn't compete with the game-changing stars on the court. This wasn't hate, it was honesty. And if Reese wants to rise again, she'll have to earn it, not with words, but with buckets. Because in today's WNBA, image alone doesn't cut it. Results do.